Okay. Check with Anna if they can hear us.
Mark Yanner, can you hear us? Check, check. Okay.
Loud and
Okay, do a
clear.
sound check. All right, great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
Let's see.
I have the agenda here also if you need.
Okay.
It makes it better.
We, Alfredo went somewhere real quick. Wonder if he's already recording on his phone. Okay.
All right, that's good.
Verify your phone recording and your phone recording begin.
Okay. It is 6:05. I call the meeting to order. Wednesday, October 16th. We have a quorum. We have every single board member present. So that takes care of points 1 and 2. Move to point 3, approval of minutes of the meeting from September 11th, 2024.
The motion to approve.
I was not there,
Any discussion? No, so approved. Point number 4, treasurer's report.
Okay, so let's start by the first topic is enumerate bookkeeping. July and August financial statements have been provided, and after preliminary review from the treasurer, he has sent an email with additional information requests and questions, and we have received the preliminary maintenance cost breakdown. We still need to analyze those maintenance cost breakdown, and mainly the big amount of these items come even before enumerate is the almost $40,000 for Service Pro, etc. on the water mitigation things. Delinquency report, September. So I always put the date here, and what I'm doing now is I put the date of September 30, so it's a much more accurate number. So we had 7 unit owners in arrears with an overall figure of $23,298.75, which is much better than the previous months, but with only 2 units with over 90 days balance, which is the ones that are being followed by our attorneys, which had 78.7% of the total balance in arrears. So we have a very serious problem, but concentrated in 2 units. As mentioned in the previous meeting, and please be very attentive to this point because it's related with these. As mentioned in the previous meeting, during August, Leeward Point attorneys were contacted to understand the next steps related to 2 pre-lien letters that have been sent to the 2 delinquent homeowners by Leeward Point Condominium Association. As there had been no payments until then, the LP attorneys had answered that they had recorded claims of lien against the properties and that the next step would be to file lien foreclosure proceedings. They would send correspondence and the appropriate documents when the lien foreclosures are to be filled. And that was expected around mid-September. The correspondence was in fact received by email on September 17, and as the above mentioned units have not responded to the claims of lien, the next step recommended by our attorneys is to file lien foreclosure proceedings as mentioned in that same email, which was forwarded to the entire board on September 27, with a recommendation to have a discussion in the October 9th meeting that we are having right now as the meeting has been postponed. Attached to that email are correspondence, authorization to commence lien foreclosure proceedings and invoices. Why? The Leeward Point Association Board needs to decide on having the authorization to commence lien foreclosure proceedings, sign and return to the attorneys by email, and on sending the deposits of $1,250 each to each unit, so it's $2,500, to the attorney's Coral Gables office. So
the deposit for, sir?
$1,250 that is going to be returned whenever these units comply with the payments.
Okay, so it's a deposit that the units have for what? For tenant or?
No. This is a deposit that the attorneys need to do in order to move to the authorization to commence of lien foreclosure. So this is the money we need
Attorney fees.
attorney fees.
So we need to give the attorney that money and then.
They start the foreclosure proceeding
And then we recoup it from one year.
whenever they pay. or whenever there's a full foreclosure.
But I thought that the attorney takes care of it, and then when they pay directly, the attorney takes the money for the
It's
stuff.
not what was communicated, and it's not what is in the September 27 email that I forwarded to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they need this deposit and then they go. So there is in fact a very hard decision here, which is moving, but it's accordingly exactly to the process. We are no longer in command of this process. This is now with the attorneys. So we just need to tell Robert or not, because he's the one that is signing these, if it is to sign and to start these by paying also 1,250, which I would not consider a cost, is much more prepayment, and we are going to have this added to each one of the units balance.
And now the foreclosure means that, basically, I mean, I'm trying to understand the legal and how it's going to affect the unit owners. So obviously they cannot sell or rent or do anything without, paying the lien. Beside that, they accrue any monthly interest.
I believe there are costs, but I know the background to understand all the consequences of foreclosure.
So right now, the decision in front of us is if to proceed or not.
If we are proceeding with the process that a long time ago already left our hands, we made tons of contacts, emails, calls, several languages.
So we contacted
the
them
attorney,
and they never replied to anything.
they never reply even for the lien letter from the attorneys.
Okay.
So the times are already compliant from what the lawyer told us that after.
Already passed.
Already passed.
So it's almost 1 month, because we received this email on the 17th. So this email was sent to you, Robert, I believe, and probably to me. And then we looked at it. I forwarded on the 27th, saying, well, let's discuss this on the 9th of October. So almost 1 month has passed and no news still. And unfortunately, there's no payment.
And it's more than 3 months.
This is much over. You have it in the report, so it's much over. We are talking many, many
Then
months.
we should continue with.
So that we need to follow.
Yeah. Okay, so does anybody does the motion
So motion to proceed with
with the normal?
the not proceeding for liens for these 2 units. We need to mention unit numbers, I think, no?
In that we need to mention it here.
I mean, if we do a motion, I think that for the minutes, it should.
We know which units are. Let me know. I would prefer not to.
You consult with the lawyer first, because definitely, on the minute, I think that, it has to be before it is closed in public, so that has to be followed up with, I mean.
I'm trying not to mention anything that has to do with the rears, possibilities, etc. by the name.
To protect the privacy.
Yes, we all have access to the enumerated numbers. We know which units are we talking about.
But I think that in the minutes, we have to mention.
Can we send just a quick message to lawyer for them to give us an advice and see.
Okay, so right now, the motion would be that we are proceeding with the.
Two current units that are in the process beyond.
It's legally stipulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did the motion.
Do the motion.
I do the motion. Okay. So
Agreed.
Okay.
now the second point is not the series of, is also regarding the remaining 5 units. One has solved completely the situation, another one partially, and only 2 have an area situation over 60 days. Remember, this is on the 30s, in the amount of 178.04 each. I would recommend at this time, we are still talking about something that is minor in terms of maturity, that Leeward Point Association Board needs to decide on having enumerated, sending a formal letter to these owners in arrears, reinforcing the need to make the payment, and that the penalty fee would be applied if these payments are not done until a specific date. And I would say until the end of the month. So we conclude this month. And right now, part of these are now over 90 days. So there are 2 units. One of them, by the way, already told me that did the payments last week. So probably is going to no longer be there. But there's another one that is still. And my recommendation would be to send a letter saying, okay, you have until the end of the month. If not, we continue to do exactly the same procedures as the other units and we start with the penalty.
Are we charged extra or is it standard practice every time the grid has to remind them to pay?
We pay additional, and if you see one of the emails of enumerate charges $50 because they send these late fees. And yes, we are incurring in costs. And specifically these two units have always been in arrears. So at the end of the day, I believe it's we need to.
And maybe a reminder, we're doing this now, but the reminders are going, are hopefully going to decrease and you can pay by a certain time.
And it's first, we had the transition that created a lot of this situation. Now it's reduced to a minimum. And like I said, almost 80% are from these two units. Just to give you an idea, if we're talking about 80% of $23,000, we are talking about almost 17, 18,000 or close to 18,000. So imagine how many months these units are in arrears.
Okay. Now, regarding the late fee you mentioned from enumerate, are we passing those late fees to the unit owner?
We are passing these late fees to unit owners, but what my recommendation here is not even to have late fees right now, it's just to send a letter saying you have until the end of the month to solve your
But
arrears
every time we
situation.
send that letter, they charge us $50, no?
No, they don't charge $50. They charge $50 for all the letters they sent in a specific month. But I would say it's probably $10 or something by letter. So we are paying $10.
That's
that
not
would
my
be-
question. To your point, like,
Yep.
people keep paying late. Pay.
Yeah.
for
Yep.
money, paying late, right?
Yeah.
To save them from paying a late fee. So eventually I'd like to not pay anything extra.
I agree, yeah.
And I'm just saying for 41, besides these two that we already are close to foreclosure, we have no major problem. By the way, one of the units is in a specific process, which I believe is going to be sold. So at the end of the day, when that process ends, which is a selling, no problem will arise from there.
Okay.
Okay. So we agree that we send this notification. I do a motion.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, the next point is the second special assessment loan status. There was no additional loan advance requested in September. The last one was already on October, so it will appear on October. So until now, until the end of September, we only had made one loan advancement. Once again, we have a line of credit. Every time we need to pay something to the roofer, that money comes into our operating account. By the way, we are waiting for a while for enumerate to clarify the new operating model. And then from the operating account, we pay to the roofer. But there was no movement during September. In the next month, we're going to have the October because we already did one. Now, auditing processes. There are good news here. A lot of emails coming back and forth. Auditors have mentioned they are close to getting the 2022 audit draft for us to review. There were requests for clarification that was sent to Primex. Those clarifications did not come. Let's wait for the audited report. But I'm waiting. This is very sensitive. And so we are waiting for the report. Even today, I sent probably the 7th email. I'm always copying Robert in my emails. But this is a very sensitive topic. And then we go for 2023. But next week is saying that it's almost arriving. There will be a notification on something that is strange, and then they move into the 2023.
So by the end of October, we're gonna have 2022, and then by the end of.
I hope
Because-
almost immediately after the 2023. 2022 is much harder. And for example, I've been 2 hours and a half in that not clubhouse. What is the name of the warehouse that we have? Because we just received completely disorganized and chaotic, which is in my reports from Primex. So we couldn't make any type of sense of what we were looking at. But we scanned tons of things. We sent all of that to the auditors. But there are even things beyond. So let's wait for the report. That is what I would recommend. We are close to that, and it will be given to us, I hope, next week. Then the 2023, I believe it's much easier because it's closer. So there's a lot of things that are fresh. This one is a long distance for an audit of
You
this.
said by the end of this year, we're gonna have.
We need for sure. Because also these will lead to recommendations for us to close the year of 2022 and close the year of 2023, which by the way was still not closed. And by the way, the guy from Gersten Rosenweil, I don't know how to say the names, already said that he would do it for free, from my understanding. So we will send to taxes, etc., and a lot of recommendations also to enumerate to make the proper accountability. Let me give you just an example. The 700,000 of the special assessment came in costs in the last year. So at the end of the day, when we are trying to do an insurance for the board and for DNO, etc., they ask, okay, why did you have a dramatic result last year? Because they put the accounting, and this, by the way, is the minor thing, but obviously this needs all to be arranged and put accordingly to accounting rules and laws. But like I said, so let's wait another week. Now, besides the two things, I have only one additional point. So there was a Leeward point. There's an Excel where we're putting all the numbers from the lawsuit. I believe we need to put a net ETA for everybody to go there. I believe these are a lot of money that we're going to put in a lawsuit to require from the previous contractor. But we need to close it because we are already in October. Time flies. There's an Excel. And I would do a recommendation that we put an ETA, and whatever we have in that ETA, we send to attorneys, and we put the lawsuit over Absolute Pro, according to those numbers.
Expenses like the drywalls that we need to pay out and all that stuff, should be added to the lawsuit.
Yes, but the problem is if we continue to delay, we can wait another month. But I don't know. Then
I agree. I think
we need to.
But we should ask the lawyer if we can either edit, they can move and then edit throughout the process, because this is going to take a long time.
Alexis already said that, but yes, I believe we need to take the first step and enter the game. So
Okay.
even like,
Sorry. And, I thought all information was already gathered. So why we need to keep revising that is?
we need to put numbers. So there's each one of the items. I sent several emails with items and some estimates that we translate these into an Excel. We need to say if it is a legal lawsuit of 800,000, 500,000, 300,000, what are the figures, and be able to defend it. Because from my understanding, when we talk with Alexis, we don't want to put anything there that creates our case weaker. So we have to be solid rock in the things we put there, which I believe we are being very conservative, especially for the United States of America, where people can sue about anything, and we have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder in this neighborhood. So I don't understand why we cannot put that.
so like, for example,
And that would be
I-
millions,
I
by the way.
got you the Serve Pro and the drying.
All of that
I
is
don't know if
already
that
there.
would- I think it's gonna cost us money to get rid of these.
Yeah.
That hasn't been added, right?
Yes.
I got a
True.
quote to do the drywall for the house, but I got a quote and somebody else got a quote. I don't know which one to use. And I'm just- I'm
Do we get the
just-
final estimate? Do we get the final estimate from the engineers on the driveway report?
Questions like that still remain, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Why, yeah, exactly, why is it taking so long for?
Did they submit it to you?
No, I remember last time that you guys were going through all the bits and pieces of the invoices. Milays and Jason agree with you that they are going to give you a sort of like a disclose, itemize numbers for the driver report.
Yeah, they
mentioned
haven't
the
said
rest of the
anything.
information. So
So we need to.
if that is what you need, so.
So
then
it sounds
we
like John's
follow
point
that.
is we need to finalize all of that and compile it all to have a total sum, which I agree with. I think we need that for sure.
And there's already an Excel, there's emails and all of the items. It's looking not only if we are putting the correct figures, and a lot of things out of memory, because we looked at the costs, etc. Other thing is, okay, we are forgetting this, and this. I still think we should put something related with the anxiety, the drama, everything that these people created to the work point, because I think it's one of the biggest costs we had after this disaster. So, and I don't understand why we cannot put that in our lawsuits. But besides of that, there's a lot of costs, real costs that we put there, that has an invoice that we paid. There's also the work that we are now paying for the second time to finalize the 2 and 3. So that
Yeah,
should
and
be there.
that's all the
Temporary.
temporary repairs.
The temporary, everything. Yes, yes. So I think if we can put an ETI, then we say, look, you're gonna do it until the end of October. So we have still 2 weeks. Everybody revises and whatever is there, we are not going to say to Alexis and Avi, okay, this is the
Yes,
last.
but we have to get the numbers from everybody, and finalize the drivers and understand how much, you know.
But it sounds like, to Alfredo's point, I think you had that engineering company go in and make all those measurements,
Yeah,
right? So they should have that.
We had a call with them and our point to them was, you provided, if you will, the state of affairs, the measurements, things like that. And we could have gone around with a tape measure and said, here's the impacted part. But we said we needed you to provide not just the statistics, but also the analysis. And they were going to come back and send the per square footage, et cetera, et cetera.
The one thing that, to your point though, is for example, what the association covers is different than what is required to return the unit to the previous condition, like we've talked about before. So it's, the association covers potentially sheetrock, let's say, whereas to return the condition, furniture was damaged, baseboards were damaged, right? Lights, fixtures were damaged. It sounds like all of those things should be included in a lawsuit if it's going against.
But that's never been doing it. I don't remember if you've been in the call or, but basically, without getting into it too much, he explained that we cannot include damages for the unit owners. Because in an example he gave, if one had a collection of shoes that is valued at X amount,
Right.
we don't, you know, it's, you know, or stamps that, you know, we cannot get into that and it complicates the whole thing. And this is why each unit owner should have their own insurance and to go through their
For the
insurance
insurance,
or sue directly the
Right.
roofer.
right? Which is obviously still a path for many owners that they're thinking of doing individually. I don't want to speak
And
for
I believe
myself.
might give the structure for a specific unit owner to say, look, now that I see the structure, I want
Then I
to
can
move,
take
and these
that.
are the costs associated with my area. And once again, the problem I said is that all of these cost a lot of money. So at the end of the day, if you have a huge case, it justifies. If you have a small case, it's always on the break-even point. And or people can, and we also talked about this with the attorneys, people getting together as a group of people, including like a collective. Once again, they, and I believe in that, they were very experienced, which is it's always a drama to understand the collective, because some of them might say, I emailed there was an email that had a lot of shoes in Latin America. And so some people might say I had the biggest collection of shoes, and the other one might say, oh, I only have an iPhone that was damaged. And then suddenly the money is distributed accordingly and somebody gets something and yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, so basically, we unfortunately, what we want, we cannot
You
be,
stick to the.
we need to stick to the association.
So even more so theoretically what the engineer calculated is what we should stick to for that line item, for example. Like sheetrock cover.
Yeah, I honestly don't understand what MB5 at all are doing. I mean, because to, as you mentioned, to just measure how much drywall, we don't need them for that. And then to know what's the cost of drywall, we can get a few quotes for a few GCs and know how much is drywall.
Needed and required. And it depends entity.
That was the intent, right?
That was the intent. Okay, so.
Already have the
Yes.
And we, like, remember last discussion, they say, if you want a rough order of magnitude, there is gonna be a charge involved in that, or best way to do it is to get the 3 estimates. So that's exactly what I left the conversation on. So we need to provide these 3 estimates, otherwise,
I don't think they're gonna charge us. They said, no, we can do that.
okay.
So we need to get back and
Okay,
get.
so-
So let's just give them the green light to do that.
Yes, so we need to finalize it.
Can we put the 30th of October and meanwhile we try to look at where are we still missing though? And the attorneys were clear on that. Even if we add costs after the 30th of October that we think can fit in the lawsuit, there's not set in stone, from my understanding from what they said, that we cannot include. Because imagine now the roofer finds out something dramatic, et cetera, that he needs to invest whatever. I don't believe, but imagine that still can be added to the case.
Okay, so you're suggesting right now to put.
The end of
End of
October,
Over.
just to send the first draft, because
I think.
I
that's
agree with
reasonable. I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
And I can also, because this was the end of the treasury report, but I can address also the point number 5, which is update on issuing credit card for online recurring bills. There was a credit card issue in 2 names, mine and Alan. I did not activate mine, and I told Valley Bank I didn't ask for any credit card, but I didn't activate. So the only credit card is with Alan. We have been receiving all the invoices there of your expenses.
You got it?
Yes, until now, yes. And also, we're gonna have the reports, the monthly reports, and we're gonna send everything to Oscar. So we avoid any type of problems by the end of December. Oh, what was this expending in the credit card? But the credit card right now is a $5,000 limit, correct? And until now, I would say
Well, today we spent 1,000 on the card for the.
for the, yes. Okay. So that is the status. I don't know if there are more questions about these. I also contacted you, the secretary, to understand if you were still interested, and you said no, that you were living well with the process of paying the things. Yeah, and sorry?
No, I don't want to have anything else,
Perfect. In terms of payments, as you understood by many of my emails to enumerate, it takes a while. So the sooner we solve, today I approved it in 3 minutes. So I received an email in 2 minutes, by the way. I approved it, then I send them immediately an email. If we can shorten our approval, there will always be like 1 or 2 weeks beyond, because they now have Paymerang in the process. They sent to Paymerang. It takes a lot of time. So it
So basically, for somebody to get paid, it takes what, 2 weeks now?
Oh, for me, for example, I would say 3 to 4 weeks, maybe,
For somebody to get a check?
or somebody. Sometimes 3 or 4
And what
weeks.
can we do to?
In our part, continue to fight and enumerate in many areas to improve their service levels. Once again, one thing is to have, and I'm feeling this in a lot of providers in Florida, incompetence and not a lot of good service, which is general, I'm sorry to say, here in Florida. Another thing is to have entities that are not honest. So I think we got better, but there's still a lot of improvements to be there. What can we do? Approve as soon as possible. We already discussed it with a lady from the Enumerate that now Oscar at Wednesdays and Fridays, he cleans everything that is. So he sends everything to Paymerang. So we already shorten our part. The Paymerang process can take until 10 business days. So if you receive something on Wednesday, or let's put it like this, we are sending the checks on Wednesday. That's why I'm talking about 3 weeks. If you receive on Thursday, you're going to send the checks request on Wednesday, already almost 1 week. Oscar gives it to Paymerang on Friday, and then 10 business days, which, by the way, the mail is taking there, it's already 3 weeks. And this is if we approve everything whenever Oscar gets the emails in our inbox.
I approve that. I think we are.
Perfect. That's
This is all for all the vendors or also apply to our,
Exactly.
subcontractors?
Exactly the same thing. So your refund will take this time, or cargoes that needed those $50 or 40 something will take this time. The alternative is what I worked with Ever, the gardener, because there was a problem right now. The branch is in Doral. So Ever is saying, I can't go to Doral, or I'm going to spend a lot of time. It doesn't pay for me. And then we talked with them, and I believe it was you that brought the ACH, which means any vendor can create an ACH with Paymerang, and then it goes directly to the account. But then I asked Oscar, okay, so he's gonna have it because Ever gave me back his check and we did an automatic. He's gonna get the money until Friday. I cannot guarantee you this. It's gonna shorten the process, but not.
Yeah, but why not in our bank, Valley Bank? Why we have to actually go to another bank? So
Because
we're taking the funds and we're putting into.
it's the process of enumerate. It's a process of enumerate. So for us, the money leaves the bank, it gives to Paymerang, and Paymerang takes care of the payments. I don't. And that was so strange because we were never informed about that. And we just realized that when Ever wanted to cash out a check in Valley Bank, and Valley Bank told him this is not a check from Valley Bank. So right now they create this middle entity that does this for us. Besides the timings, it's exactly the same. And I would say that is a better process if we know how to manage the delays on the payments, because you're not going to be paid next day, like some of the checks we did in the beginning. But it for us is better than receiving the checks. Come on, let's and then going to the mail. It was very hard process that we were spending.
Like ADP and all for bookkeeping and, okay, so. So the saving with the ACH is basically the mailing.
The main, in the
Time
time
it
that we
takes-
wasted going to the mail, then we got some help
Okay.
for a while, but it is, every time you go to the mail, you lose at least 1 hour,
All right.
at least.
Thank you, Treasurer. Number 6, updates on roof project. The roofers started officially this week. They got maybe a quarter of building 2 flat roof.
They got unit 13 and unit 14.
Yes.
So they are working quickly. They will be here again tomorrow.
82 units in 1 day.
Yeah. So just for everybody to understand, when they don't see people working, it's because of weather. And today it didn't really rain, so they could potentially be working, but they look at the weather all the time. And if they see that there's a chance of rain the next day, they don't come. Because whatever they clear down, they need to put the same exact day to avoid any water intrusion or anything like that. So today was one of these days that it was supposed to rain, it didn't rain, they didn't come. Tomorrow, they're supposed to come, I think. And so finally the roofs are moving along, and we are asking everybody to make sure that your cars are as far away as building number 2, from the building number 2. And that's
Yeah, parking will always be a little tricky, when you disrupt that many spots, but,
If there's any way that, like, obviously folks can be cooperative with the 5 vehicles, there's 5 parking spots right in front of that building, but those are the ones that are worked out. If there's any way that, I know that there are multiple people here who have 3+ cars
Yeah.
that they park all over the guest spots, that are permanently in their guest spots. If there's any way that people can like remove those cars or help us.
so the hope is that tomorrow, all this, between tomorrow and
which would
maybe
be
2 or 3
helpful,
days,
yes.
all this should be out. That's gonna clear some space for maybe potentially more parking. Which
So whenever they take out these, they close all of these for them.
Well, we're gonna try to find a way to leave us a few parking
Yeah.
spots and have material at the same time. I don't think they're gonna bring that much material over here, so hopefully that's gonna improve. Also, in your case, those parkings, you can park there, like, let's say you come back around 2 o'clock.
I'm
Okay,
I'm strategically trying to be gone all day.
Yeah.
But I leave it, 8 and I come back at 7. So hopefully it's like fine,
yeah, so if you come like around 2, 3, I mean, I don't recommend parking there, but the problem is that the first part of the day, they are tearing down and things can fall in your car.
Yeah.
Second part of the day, they are putting that there's no mess in that section. Plus, they need to be able to come. But regardless, the way they're working, I think that in 2 days, they're gonna be done with your
Yeah,
section.
I agree. I think just being patient.
Yeah, so,
And I think everybody around there as well. 'cause I know-
and I think as they go to the opposite end of your building, those parking spots
Yeah.
free up again,
Oh, they're gonna use different parking spots, you think?
just the curb.
yeah, they're gonna bring the material
Yeah.
from.
I've chatted with a couple of my neighbors, and honestly, we're just happy that it's
It's
proceeding.
starting.
Everyone's
Good.
excited and happy.
John from RT did say he'd like to have a conversation with us at some point next week. I don't know best logistically how to arrange that, if that's a official meeting or not, but,
Which one?
Father, John.
Oh, okay,
So,
I would probably,
It should be, if it's more than 2 people.
just
there needs to be.
Yes.
I would say let's keep it to, and then if there's anything to report, or to decide, we do the rest.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you guys saw, but I sent a few quotes for, the stucco.
I was gonna ask that question.
Yes.
Progress.
Yeah, so we have 2 quotes for the stucco. And And actually, we have 2.5, because Junior, I don't know if he's still gonna accept it or not. I called him, he doesn't answer my calls. So I honestly don't know, but I got 2 quotes. One is from a medium-sized company, they're very serious. They're called Gable and Paint. So they do commercial work in private, in private residence. Paint and stucco, that's the only thing they do. What is that one? So that one was, I think, 68,000 for both buildings. Everything. And then we have another one that I think is 50.
Sorry, the question, what's included in this? Is it just stucco or do you stucco, paint, soffit, the whole 9 yards?
No, so I mean, they basically, they put the wire.
It's not wood, is it? Metal?
Yeah, it's like a metal thing, and then, which that is attached directly to the trusses, which the separation is perfect for what they need. And then the stucco, which is like some type of cement that goes like this,
And the vents, obviously.
and the vents in between, and then paint. And also, there are some corners that are also need adjustment and paint and all that, so all that is included.
The only other question I had, I guess, was, I'll wait for you to finish the stucco, because we're talking about like under and connection to the wall. Yep.
Yeah, so that's
Yep.
the,
Recommended we send an email at least to Junior, or somebody can contact, because it's at least 10,000 less than and I don't know if he's still willing or not to do it, but at least we formally.
so we have, so this one is 68,800. But also I need to speak to them because, for example, with the paint, they put primer and then paint. Now, and maybe I'm wrong, but sometimes with Sherwin-Williams, when it's white paint, we might get away with one coat, but I need to ask the professionals because I cannot really answer that, and that would save some money. The other quote we got is a total of 56,000.
68, 56.
49,000 of the proposal.
And what?
You have 49,000 in the proposal for R&I.
For Junior, okay. So 49,000, this is basically $7,000 more. So this one is in the middle. Okay, but at least we have some kind of and I'm waiting for another one.
We need another one for the proper procedure, since this is very high amount of money that we need to compromise.
Oh, actually, look, talking about the devil.
You just responded.
Just told him, send it today. There we go.
Junior, son?
Okay, no, that's not Junior. So this one is 119,000.
Do it.
I'll email it to everybody.
Can we get something close to what the lowest bid did, or what you have already in there? Because we're trying to, to compare with the highest, we're trying to, like, see if we can further find something that is more
Yeah, and I think-
affordable.
I think an email here would be the recommendation, because he already, so he's just asking if he complies or not with the previous one. You might say no, because this was involved in all of the remaining ones, or say yes.
You know what I want to do? I want to ask Sandra from the wire guys. They actually, experts on the stucco, and they actually passed the proposal for your balcony, and probably they will get somewhere around. So
That's not bad.
They did a bid on the overall project as well, right?
they did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we.
I don't think they
have
split out the, I don't think they split out the,
So the expertise is
It's
stock.
the scenes.
They have two companies,
Okay, so
engineers and stock and finishing.
okay, so you're gonna ask him to get an quote?
Yeah, I can actually.
Okay, so if he gets it that quote, we're gonna have 4 quotes.
Crazy. But at least 3, hopefully that will be
Yeah, but that now we're seeing, I mean, but also we have one for 56,000, which,
That's completely off. You have to be within.
Right.
So we know that it's gonna be between 40 to 60 and.
Ish, yeah.
yeah, something like that. Okay, so that's that. Now, with the,
Point number 7.
we're not,
Oh, sorry, I have one more question about the roof. The one question I have is I noticed as they're doing the work, and again, you'll forgive my like lack of technical terms. They're obviously coming over the top of the parapet wall, I assume, with the roof. How do we do, is that okay? Then we need to put shingles, like the white piece is coming over,
Yeah.
right? Don't we have to remove that to put something there, or do we just go over this with the shingles?
I don't know, but they're gonna do.
I was gonna say they have to remove it again, don't they, and put something there?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, what they just did in unit 13 and 14, this is the first layer temporary, that's not the final.
I gotcha. But whatever they do, right, is going over the mansard. So
Yeah.
whatever they do there, they're gonna have to remove it. So
Correct.
finish the mansard and then lay that roof over again. As long as that's within our scope and they know that.
Yeah, no, they know, they are very,
Because there's obviously like a water intrusion potential there.
yeah,
There's a cap.
there's a cap as well.
The stupid proposal is gonna be for building 2 and 3, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, then update on the enclosures, permits and all that. So we already got the plan from the engineer and architect on what's need to be done with the enclosures. And we did not submit the permits yet because the roofer specifically asked us to wait this week, maybe tomorrow. Already there's gonna be a visit from the city, one of the inspectors. And we're gonna address all that with the inspector because we need to understand how the permit is gonna go, if it's gonna go under this permit, separate permit, so, and the roofer is really afraid that if we put this in, it's gonna stop his permit to continue with the roofs. And we don't wanna jeopardize continuing with the roof. So the only part that is on pause is submitting the application for permits in the city. Hopefully, I'll have more answers on that in the following week. So that's that. I also got a quote to rebuild the parapet wall in the corner of 29. Yeah.
Just trying to understand
Yeah.
here. So we have the problem with the enclosures. One of the things is the payment. Do we have that clear right now?
Payment for the closures?
Yes.
No.
So what is the amount of money, how the
So,
procedures?
so overall, what we prefer is that each unit owner, they have the plan, they can contract the GC and they do the work.
Yeah.
Now, the problem that we're seeing, and that's mostly with unit 25 and we have with the owner, is that when we submit and we get the approval, we need to get going because if this is not done quick, we cannot finish the roofs and we cannot finalize the roofs. So we need to put some kind of a time limit for the unit owners to complete the work or at least to start the work. Yeah, no, but I'm saying the city will not do the work for you, the city will put violations.
Putting a proposal is, what is the amount of the cost of that specific unit?
So the quote that I got, only one quote for now, was 28,000 and something. Okay, the unit owner claimed that she found cheaper, fine, that's okay. 20,000, I think, correct? And Conejo's unit, I think her husband is GC or he's doing it. So I have no idea whatever it costs. But it's basically the same
So
cost.
right now, the discussion is more about timings than anything else.
It's more about timing and then we're gonna let the unit owner here, discuss, obviously it's a lot of money, not everybody has the money. There's also, she's trying to sell it, and it's in the midst of all that, and we definitely, understand, the position she's in. So we need to discuss if the sale doesn't happen quickly, and the unit owner cannot start the work in a timely manner, then we need to put somebody, pay, and make it happen, because otherwise we won't be able to close the roofs. And so the question is, it's a little elaborated. One is, we can put the money, and then when the unit owner sells, we get it back, but it's some kind of like a loan.
We can have that discussion more thoroughly. I don't know if, I didn't realize we were like a bank that was here to loan money to.
Okay, which is a very valid point. We are not a bank, but we are in need of moving forward. So how can we, one way force the unit owner, and second way, get it done?
That's why I was asking what is the total amount, because there will be drywalls payments to that specific unit. So there is like a balance that will appear in the future whenever we have obviously the roofs. But obviously there's a big difference between that money and those 28,000. But I would say that at least there is a part of that money that goes a tit for tat, which is you have the cost of the drywalls versus the cost of the enclosure, and part of that can match that. Besides of that, I understand that we are not the loan company, but we are always the insurance of our attorneys, that we can, after needing to do an intervention, to collect that money for whoever is the owner of that. But at least that tit for tat reduces the entire amount of the.
So, and that is exactly the point I was about to raise, that we need to pay the unit owner, like many other owners, for the drywalls. Okay, in her case, she already did the work. And that money can be going directly to a GC to commence the work.
Especially because the timings that we have agreed within this board is that whenever we have the roofs properly secured and intervention, it's the moment that we're going to pay for drywalls for not repeating that type of payment. So I would say that is the balance that I would propose.
I would,
from my understanding from your budget, that is the first time I'm hearing the amount, there's still a big difference between one amount and the other. So we still need, obviously, we already talked with the attorneys about that, but we still need clarity on how we're going to recover the delta.
I want to say something. I need to understand, like if we already hired the engineers on board, and what is the process of selection, or is this just an estimate? Because as you say, we need to actually understand the full amount and the scope of work of what we're going to do for the legalization. And the other thing is that we need to look in details of all the unit owners that have the enclosure that actually have the previous contract with the contractor, and we need to actually, like put all the information that they claim that they pay for this. And the other part that is very important is for me to have the legal ground and how we're going to proceed from this point forward with whoever is going to build and the unit owners, because there's a lot of liability involved. So if that it's considered, so I would like to understand what is the approach and how we're going to resolve it.
Whether the contractor is licensed and insured.
Because in previous experience from the board already understood exactly the amount of stress and liability, and they have their previous attorneys set up a document, like a document where we basically waive all responsibilities, and this is something that is going to be between contractors and the unit owners, because we understand that this belongs strictly to the unit owners' issues. So association cannot go over and cover everything, because this is actually from the you're actually taking over a responsibility that is not assigned. And second, we need to understand if the funds that we're going to provide, how this is going to be getting back on the time. Because, for instance, if we actually put a lien on the property and this property never sell, or, you know, they pass from generation to generation, how are we gonna recuperate that money? So we need to actually find methods and way that the legal lawyer tell us, okay, this is the way that you can claim, because many members of the community, I'm pretty sure they are not going to like the idea of financing this issue if we understand clearly what will be the pros and cons and what we are going to be the consequences. And I think from poor contractors, we already know that the problem of enclosure can be clearly dissected and can be put it on the last phase as we originally did on February, and when we're trying to work on that. So for me, this is something that is very critical, and I would like to take a look at it. I would like to understand from all the sectors, you know, community, lawyers, engineers, what would be the responsibilities involved in order for us to take a determination, because we are making a decision in behalf of 41 units. So I want to have that clear.
I wrote down a lot of your points. So let me say, what is my understanding that this board already decided? First of all, to honor the $5,000 that was paid previously to Absolute Pro. And by the way, including that specific cost in the lawsuit over Absolute Pro. So we are covering that cost. So whatever initial $5,000 is covered by the association, and we include it in the, then.
But hold on, but the $5,000, for example, the unit owner is standing in front of us, and another unit owner, they paid $5,000 to the previous
Yes,
contractor.
and we are
Okay.
assuming that as.
Well, we need to provide that they are actually, you know, like did the transfer and pay for it. So if that is okay, so then.
Yes,
We have,
there is.
we have the proof of all that, but,
Yes,
okay, now we paid again, we paid $5,000. What happened with the $5,000 that they paid?
It's for the lawsuit.
is what I was saying, is that what we discussed in the past, I revisit and change, is that we would honor those $5,000 that they were almost forced to sign with the previous gentleman, let me call it like this.
Yeah.
And so we honor those first $5,000. And besides that, there's another thing, is that at least in 2 units, we also pay. So we are not only going after only to the unit of the corner and Esther. Only those 2 units is the one that we have proved that not only the unit owner was charged, but then Absolute Pro was also charging the association, because we paid $5,000 for the unit 29, and I don't know what is Esther unit for 2,500. So we pay. But what I'm saying is, besides, we are saying that we are covering in the last decision, we can revisit that. So in that sense, this was a commitment. The second thing is that, and I completely agree, this is a responsibility of the owner. So getting the proper budget, getting the right contractor, etc., with your help or without your help, whatever help, it's a responsibility of the owner. It only migrates to ourselves if it jeopardizes the 41. So at the end of the day, if one of these unit owners delays, and suddenly we cannot finish the roofs because so it jumps into the 41. And then what I would say is that whenever, and we already have this thing from the attorney, whatever fund that you're going to put here, it's going to go directly to the balance of the unit. And let me tell you, after a lien and after a foreclosure in the United States, it's very hard that we're not going to get our money back. Because at the end of the day,
The question that he asked is when, if the unit owner never sells?
it's that money also,
Oh,
it's
also
interest. No, it's not, and it's interest based, and a lot of penalties will come to our side, interest, etc. Let me tell you.
Plus any rent goes to us.
Let me tell you, these houses are worth, I don't know, 1,900,000, 800,000, whatever number. We are talking about $10,000, and we have privilege towards, I believe, even banks. So at the end of the day, if we don't believe that that house will sell to cover for this cost and the procedures of the costs, and no, we're not going to have, once again, we're not going to have a future that we can define everything that is going to happen. We have to mitigate the possibility of things going wrong like we are doing. But besides of this, we can only maximize our intervention. I don't foresee the future, but I would say that we have all the instruments and to go for the funding if needed. if this falls on our side. But like you said, the first responsibility is the unit owner.
Well,
Now-
can I say real quick, the 5,000 that was paid by the unit owners, we absorbed that cost and did not require them to pay the engineers that are going right now.
100%, yes.
So even if we, in the lawsuit, if we get the money, that sort of equals out the
Yes,
balance that we paid for the
Yes.
current engine.
yes. The last question, that's a great question. I don't have an answer. I remember they talked,
What was the last
which is the
question?
final stage. So at some contract, I also heard here that they were doing some type of solution. And then whenever they would come here, but I can rationalize the other points. The last one, I'm not sure because technically they defended that. They get something temporary whenever the enclosure, and that doesn't put so much pressure on the timings. I don't know.
But I
So-
would say part of that was, yes, they can temporarily do things, but temporary, I think as they were talking about was like by the end of the year.
Got it.
Also, another thing,
Because you can't do temporary.
And then they return on 2027.
they want to finish with the enclosures, when they go to building 3,
Mhm.
and they go to the mansard section, they work on the mansard, they're gonna first do their flat roofs. But once they start with the mansard, they wanna continue the whole thing and finish. Also, we're going through the 50-year inspection, they expect us to also finalize and have a closed permit. We cannot have a closed permit if we still have those.
It's a great point for these guys, whenever we sit down with them next week and understand
but that's-
how urgent this is needed.
I tell you something from my experience, so the time for the legalization of this enclosure at least will take 1 year. And this is something that we should need to put on the table because paperwork with the city will take that time, at least 1 year.
I
So-
disagree completely with that.
Okay,
And that
so
is not
if they are able to rush and expedite and actually, like moving forward within the timing of the contractor is working, it will be excellent. But we need to actually shoot for the worst because I think that what we were intending from the very beginning of the whole contractors understand is that we cannot wait for the enclosures to be legalized in order for us to close all the details that we need to do in the roof. So I think that was falling as what we're saying, the last phase, so they can start working right now. There is no doubt about it, but the process between getting the contractors and getting the enclosures legalized at the same time, it won't happen. They most 100%, they would probably finish before these things is finished. So they need to come back. And this is something that and I remember we talked and we discussed and 4 of the contractors agree.
Yes,
So,
and that's why I don't have an answer for that. I think we need to talk with them. What I heard from many of them also in the interviews we did here is that because of the pressure to finalize the rules, to have the insurance, etc., doesn't take 1 year. But I agree that probably the timings of the enclosures, permits and licenses, but nothing better than talking with these guys that represent the company.
Okay.
John and Ed.
It should not take a year because nobody needs to go through a variance for this because it's a small enclosure. And we as association approve it, so it's not something complicated like he had to go through or I had to go through. I'm not saying it's easy and I'm not saying that necessarily it's gonna happen at the perfect timing. That nobody knows, I don't know, but it should not take a year.
But once again, in going back, the 5,000, and then the second point is this is on the owners, and like you were saying, we need to give an ETA for the owners to react and to say, look, this is my response, or I don't have a response, because only on that, for the sake of the 41, we need to take over and do the work ourselves.
Okay, so the thing is that we will be able to give more clarity to the unit owners on this once the roofer and us and the city have a conversation about how to proceed with the permits. And once everybody's on the same page, we'll have more answers to that. So I would say, let's give those answers when, for the next one, and any update I will update everybody, of course. Okay?
But there is a timing thing to get started on it.
Yeah, like hiring a GC, knowing who's gonna do the work, how much it's gonna cost. And the moment we decide to putting the permits, the GC will have to, put their license, insurance, all the paperwork, so we can expedite
Question,
on that.
do the unit owners already know what is the scope of work so they can go for? if they
Yes,
have- they know.
Yes, they know. And the
Engineer
problem-
provided the reports.
Yeah, and
It's from the 50 year, where this is coming from, the 50 years in.
no, we hired an
Okay.
engineer, so we have all that.
And he analyzed each case.
Yeah,
I have the market.
so we have two.
We were
They're all
thinking
built
about three, by the way, we still have
That's what I thought.
$5,000 that are retained because the third one dropped, correct?
Correct, but
Okay.
we used it for the parapet wall. On top of the unit 29, there's a part of the wall on the roof that is missing that they removed, the previous contractor removed. So so they need to reconstruct that wall. We needed calculations from engineer to reconstruct that wall and to be able to put the trusses on top of it, making sure that the weight is gonna hold and all that. So basically that additional corner, that's
This
where.
Until now has not been decided because we still have.
No, but we still have the invoice, we still didn't pay that part, so we still have the money, still
You
didn't pay
still
that part.
need to come to the board and make that proposal, because probably I missed it, but I.
So I think the original was the 3 units, then
Yes.
we figured that we can
Only
get
two.
by with 2.
Okay.
But we already made payment of I think $10,000
$10,000 for the two there.
for what we thought was 3, but the end
Yes.
is 2. So the extra 5,000 that is supposedly for the third enclosure, instead of doing enclosure, the engineer,
We need to present this to the board.
I think it was mentioned.
Probably,
And there's something that we need to discuss regarding one particular enclosure, which is unit 23. Since this is something that we probably have to look at, because I don't know if she's proceeding with the enclosure. Because if that is the case, so then we need to analyze all the paperwork that she had previously done, because this is something that we need to be aware, and we need to take a decision from.
I'm sorry, but I disagree with that point. The unit owner has the engineer drawings of what needs to be done. And they need to legalize it with the city, with our approval, according to those designs. Those designs basically make the unit owner remove completely the ceiling, put new windows, put a whole fascia on the front, because the ceiling right now is less than 7 feet. So the height is illegal. As a result of that, it needs to go up. And as a result of that, if right now the roof is like this, the roof will be like this. They're gonna have to basically remove the whole thing in order to do it.
Agrees with that.
Huh?
And unit 23 agreed with that.
Yeah.
So.
So as far as the final work that they,
What
hold
I'm
on,
understanding is the unit.
the job of the association is not to go into a unit owner and
No, I agree.
check if something is legal or not. That's the job of the city. So if they take permit and the city comes at the end and says, okay,
Is what I'm understanding.
It's
that
passed,
unit
then it's passed. We don't have to get
will
involved.
So it will remove everything that was done and gonna rebuild as we have.
as the plan.
So I'm just trying to understand where, by the way.
As far as the city approves,
That she pays the $5,000 on the contract. Did she have proof that she paid to the contractor on the previous contract?
yes, we have.
She had, okay.
Conejos, you're talking about Conejos?
Yeah, Conejos.
Yeah, that she paid the $5,000. Yeah, she sent a text message with the Zelle.
Okay.
I remember.
I think for all of them.
We should comply.
We need it for the lawsuit.
Okay, I just want to make a point here. These things with enclosures are complicated as is. If we have members of the board getting their nose where it's not none of their business and start going to the city and start asking questions that they should not ask, all this is gonna just be more complicated. So I'm gonna ask everybody to let things go the way they are, so we can finish the roofs. Any involvement, any additional questions to the city are unnecessary.
No, no, I
Leave it at that.
agree with that.
Yeah, this, I think this is already a public record, and I think that we need to look at the records before we actually make a decision, because I completely disagree with
What records?
what he said.
What record?
So we're gonna visit, I'm just going to pass the information to you guys to evaluate, to see, and then discuss, and then take the decision, because there is clearly decisions that previous board took about this particular unit, and we're gonna end up paying more than what we should.
How
So,
are we gonna pay more?
well, because there's something going on that you probably and perhaps you don't know. So
So tell us.
allow me to update. I'm just going to create that documentation, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay?
Again, complications.
So, just so I understand, and without going into details, what you're saying is there's old records of how they built the current enclosure. And that is relevant to how they're building the new enclosure?
These units have a previous settlement with the association.
Right, with the termites.
Yeah, for the termites, and the termite was actually part of the legal enclosure. So the settlement, which was originally for $80,000, came up with $25,000. So that unit, the association paid directly to the unit owners, and the agreement was that they were paying $25,000, but she needed to reform the enclosure back to the original state, and that is a legal document and it's a settlement. So this $25,000 was supposed for her to repair all the enclosures and all
Basically get
that.
back with
And
the
yes,
balcony.
and we follow up to many years, and she was claiming that she had really big issues with the contractor, hiring the contractors, and nothing was done. So the money was paid and nothing was followed. So everything got under the drain.
If the money was paid, now she's gonna do it.
What I see is
It's
that right
$25,000.
now,
Now she's gonna have to do it.
Or they should have-
Yeah, no, but that's exactly what we need to understand. So
So
the
why
money
you
wasn't
don't
really
get
done.
that?
But you didn't know that.
But now you know.
Okay, so well,
So
so
she
let's
has
get
to-
it, let's get it documented. The position from previous
The only
board
thing
was.
that is also that we lost there for $5,000, to be completely clear, was when there was another agreement and we are covering for something that it should have been covered completely by the unit. But besides of that, now it's the time that the unit or do it or we take over and do it ourselves, because we cannot stop the
Or
roof.
remove it, or completely remove
Well,
it.
the agreement was removing. and
I
we paid
know,
it
but
the
right
money
now,
back.
we're gonna do it.
So I guess
That's why we're in the. Different from the. Sorry?
You know, like leaving there, so. I just
We're not
wanted to
living
pass
there.
the information.
Right
You
now,
know, for us to make
all
sure
the story that you're telling is that
everything
there was a clear settlement to do something. Now is the moment. We're gonna say, look, you need to do it. We're gonna enforce it.
I just want everybody to understand what happened.
Yes,
Yes,
no,
we
thank you so much.
No, the termites are down, there's no
I'm
more termites,
talking
and it's
The
gone.
termites that came underneath, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it started with me. And I hired a terminator, and I paid for it, $1,500. On this one, we got paid $25,000. He says to me, they're gonna eat further. And I never asked for nothing. I didn't know that the condominium will pay for it, and I paid for it, $1,500 for the exterminator.
We are
But they
very.
went underneath the tires, inclusive.
100% right.
100%.
I paid for it, yeah, and never got asked for nothing. I didn't know.
You are right.
You're
But
right.
this
And
is
that's why
true.
we have.
And she got $25,000. Yeah, forgot. Yeah, that's what she got. Yeah, because she had a lawyer. Her relative was a lawyer, but somebody was a lawyer and fight with her. And I was the asshole, they paid for it. Yeah, I didn't know. When they had to go underneath, and I had to get all new tiles when they blow underneath. I had to pay, yeah,
So
this is what that,
The owner has to pay for everything. We are not going to finance.
the owner needs to timing, in my understanding, by the way, this topic, I'm just getting information, I'm trying to get a solution, but I'm not, or please,
I remember
sorry,
that.
or, or. So what I'm saying is that we should, after we have the information, we should give a timing for the owner to solve it. We only take it over if the owner does not solve it. That's it, because we cannot stop, we are, once again, representing 41
And by
units
the way-
that want to close
and by
the
the
roof.
way,
If in the life, we need to guarantee that the funds that we're gonna invest are coming back, and that's why there's lien procedures, foreclosure procedure. And if it was something that was very close to the value of the house, we would think it's not. So I believe the risk, once again, there is always a risk when you fund something to expect in the future, but I think we have a very normal path to get back this.
Besides,
That money that we have to pay was coming from insurance, well, actually coming from. the-
Actual our own funds.
So that's money that everybody put on their pocket. So.
Okay, but that's, but that's,
I know, but once again, the alternative, Alfredo, is to wait ad nauseum for a solution that will not come. So whenever we take over, we need to take over to finish the topic.
okay, so
And the
to,
only way to do it is that when we ask the attorneys, I don't know, there's no legal enforcement, like you're gonna pay today. So at the end of the day,
well, actually, there is,
there is.
yeah, so,
Make sure that we can. That's my big.
okay, so.
That the answer from the attorneys were completely clear, yes.
On a reasonable timeline.
Yes,
You
the
have
reason
to
why
respect
I said, if the owners, it's the same thing with special assessment on maintenance.
In the case-
And we see 2 units that are now going to foreclosure. This is
Okay,
a very.
there are two things. Number one, unit 23 said, no problem, we'll take care of it. Number one. Number two, they have a renter. So if we get to that point that we need to force and we put the money,
Yes.
all the money from the rent goes to that, period. Because we are the first to collect. That's the law. If you owe money to the association that you didn't pay, like you owe, let's say you owe, the dues, maintenance.
So you
But you
can
can
go over.
If you own maintenance, after a few months that you own maintenance, go to the certain procedures that we previously discussed. Then
understand.
whatever money goes to rent.
But you have to
we
be in a
pay that.
legal battle, I mean, paying lawyer fees to get rent from you, which.
But we,
costs money.
but
Yeah, let me
But
do the
again-
question on that. How do we buy battle deeds? But give me an alternative, if you have an alternative.
Is that we need to have a legal ground
Mhm.
set in place, because that's the only
100%.
way that I can feel peace of mind, that I want to do my due diligence as a member of my association, and all my legalities are gonna be covered. That's everything.
No, and I agree with that, and I think our lawyers also said that we could do something with that. That's not you, is that?
That's, it's Vanessa. Okay.
So our path forward.
Therefore, is to have a meeting with the roofers next week, because you need more information, correct? And after that, defining timings to put the ETA over the unit owner.
Once we, clarify that, but I'm going to also, call again, unit 23 and unit 25. So they make sure they already have in hand a GC to do the work. Have it ready to go, have the quote, have everything. So I'm gonna be pushing on that. So the moment we get the clear from the roofer,
Let's just base the roofer on timing too. He might say, I really, really need you to have this done by this point, or I can't proceed.
I already did.
We know the when from him.
He, again, he told us that once he gets to roof number 3 and does the mansard,
All the flat,
not the flat, the mansard,
he'll have all the flat completed once he goes to the master, so that's when he needs all the
They
legalization.
need 2 weeks for the speed they are doing
Yeah,
things.
they're very fast.
Can be 2 weeks.
But they could go do all the flat roofs on all the buildings and come
Right.
back and do the.
Exactly.
And just, none of them are legal on building 2, my building.
no,
So he could theoretically do the mansard
Uh.
on 2, well,
yes.
so you do
Wouldn't that be
flat,
nice?
mansard on 2.
And
Hopefully
and
mansard on
also
3.
even without the total permit, the interest part for him to finalize the roof is the work itself. So if the work is done, he finalizes the roof, correct? And then you get the permit for the roof and permit for the mansard or enclosure.
The thing is that
We need to ask.
if you put in for permits, you're gonna start doing the work before they approve the permits.
Yep.
Sometimes they approve that, sometimes they
Yeah.
don't, right? They have to say, like.
Yeah, sometimes they have comments and then, and that's why we're holding that money, by the way.
Basically, the
So-
permit is after the fact permit, whatever it's called,
Awesome.
that it's already
Maybe
there.
it's
And we have all the basis to show to the
Yeah.
new guy that is gonna be elected to North Miami Beach that this is an urgent thing, because we had tons of, okay.
And now is the time, by the way, with pressure because of elections.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Contact you.
Yeah, yeah, and by the way, so let's put, since it was not done, by the way, we did not overpay because it was 5,000 per unit, we paid 10,000. So they did the work for that corner, which was an additional 5,000, so let's do right now a motion to approve that the parapet wall that needed calculations from engineer, needed all that from engineer, all that was done, I have all the documentation. So, and I have,
Can we send this to the board and then we decide it in the next meeting? Because
yeah, but I think I said all that.
That engineer, I don't have any information of it, I don't.
Yeah, so I think so.
It's the same engineer that we hired for the.
I never heard about the transfer from unit testing to DDS unit. So I never heard.
Okay.
Have you heard? I haven't.
I'll send an email with it.
And I would say, yeah.
And going back to unit 29, those trusses are still missing, right?
Not only the trusses of 29, the 29, Angela's,
No, well, Angela's is gonna be special process designed for her enclosure, so the trusses that we have are not gonna go there.
the 29 and the 23.
The 29, we should have those trusses, and by the way, I asked the roofer to check that they didn't go to roof number 3 yet. If they are on top of roof number 3, because they should be there, because they were delivered, and there's one corner. Because we remember the 4 corners we had there, so all the corners were installed beside that corner, so that corner should be there.
We should check.
Yeah, well, we need to check, of course, yeah.
So we're clear?
Okay, yeah, we're clear.
You send an email, we can vote through email.
Okay.
We meet with the roofer next week, talk about timing. And we had a discussion
What, the roofer? Oh, yeah, I mean,
wanna speak
there's
now or
still I thought that your unit is later on, okay.
I could be wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, no, would you like to take care?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just so you don't have to stay. Yeah, thank you. So I feel like I always been waiting on the association to move on with my house in different situations. I lost my tenant and then I was waiting for a month to fix my house, which I got more. I don't know who else got more, but I got more in my house. And I think that's a responsibility of the association. You were on transition at that time, so I was on hold. And it's the same thing that's happening now. I'm basically on hold to fix my enclosure. I cannot rent my house because nobody's gonna rent and have that construction going in. I have to be waiting for the roof guy, and you have to understand, this is my income, this house. And it's been almost a year that I've been suffering. I decided to sell, the sale didn't go through. Now I need to rent. I'm on hold because I have to be waiting on your permit. The mall situation, I never ever got official acknowledgement that you were gonna take some responsibility on that. I have emails, messages with Orlando telling me I couldn't do anything and not even clean my house while the mall was growing because of your asbestos test. So I need something formal because I don't wanna go and get a lawyer that's gonna cost the association $10,000 to find me when you should pay me that, which is the right thing to do. I don't know who else in Leeward Point has this situation, but I think I'm the only one.
So when you had the mold was like in the drywall,
Yeah, whole house.
and you changed the drywall.
Yeah.
So by changing the drywall, that fixed the mold problem, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and we are going to pay you for the drywall,
I hope so, I'm still waiting.
okay? So by us paying you for the drywall, that also solves the mold situation, no?
A lot of cost. The mold was additional. The drywall was part of it, the mold was the other part. Mold, if it was just removing drywall, if it was just removing drywall, it would be one number. Moving, if it's doing so in a mold environment, it was probably like 2x, 3x.
Why?
Because you need a mold person to do it, a special mold person.
Well,
You can't just get any drywall guy to remove mold,
Okay.
as you know.
I
I
actually,
don't.
But she had an engine.
No,
I actually
you
sent
need to have a
the
certified
guy.
mold person, required by law, and as advised by the association.
Okay,
So it's not like I'm asking, I lost all the shoes or the curtain or this furniture, I lost my tenant. I'm asking you to pay the mall company that fixed that and my walls. And I don't know what else,
so
could be included there,
is
but
that okay if you provide the invoices and the proof of payment?
for what?
This is already been provided.
Huh?
For the mold
This
cleaning?
is already.
Okay, for everything she just mentioned, for this, okay. So what, I don't even know what's the amount that we're talking about.
the mall was 10,000 and the walls were 5.
Okay,
And it was the same company that's working also on the other house, the corner.
okay. So it's $15,000 that you are asking for the total damage,
Yes.
okay. Is it something that, can we have a discussion, can we decide on this?
I believe for the people that didn't see the emails, you need to read the emails, see the emails.
I read the emails, I remember in the past, and I recall there were some invoices going around.
I assume that needs to be discussed with the lawyer, because I also have way more than $15,000 worth of water damage that hasn't been paid by the association that I've been sitting on, right? So I had some that was paid by the association, and then remember all the ones before that Orlando ignored? Those haven't been paid by the association. I assumed that had to be part of a lawsuit, just like my crown molding and just like all those things, right? So is this something that we need to sit down and discuss amongst ourselves and with the lawyer? It's all about the coverage, what the association covers and does not cover. There's quite a pile of things.
The thing is that I had an asbestos test and I lost the tenant left and I couldn't do anything on my house.
So, just to be clear, so they understand.
Yeah.
It was the person, the person who showed, first of all, he showed her tenant on a reading on a thing, and this was he had no right to do that. Okay, so and this is what happened. So the guy who you hired showed her tenant a number. Then he got scared and left, and that number could never have been substantiated. It was actually false, it wasn't even true. And you could not prove it. Took a month for her asking 5 times to get another test done, as you recall in that meeting. It never happened. The damage was already done, the tenant already got scared and he left. And that guy basically scared him away, whatever reason, because he wanted to do business. So it's gonna be a mess in here, just here's his report, get out. He didn't have any right to do that, wasn't even accurate. And then the test result wasn't even corroborated as being even real, okay? And that was someone that you guys hired to do that. So this is not the rain, okay? This is that guy who you hired, and that's what she wants her 10 grand for. We know we're gonna get, hopefully, the sheetrock money, but it's the mold money, and she needs it. She's obviously lost $5 grand a month as her income, and she's trying to work with this enclosure thing,
appreciate the $5,000 permit that she already paid, the guy ran off with that. And then we gotta get a contractor, we're gonna work with you on that, but this $10,000 is gonna help her that end.
Yeah.
Not $1 million.
Well, I agree that from my opinion, I'm not looking for the board, I'm just looking for myself, that your situation is a little different than other situations that we had. And whatever is being decided for this 10 or for $15,000, I think that what we discussed before, that when that is being paid, in your case, it's gonna go straight to a GC to do the enclosure. Okay? Again, we did not decide on it. I'm talking about myself. This is the way I'm analyzing it as we go. But yeah, I think that everybody here agree that we need to have a discussion, also with the lawyer, and also because we as an association, we need to think about all 41 units. And we have one member here that has a lot of damage in her house, even more than what you had. And she paid a lot of money out of pocket.
But it wasn't from the guy that you hired, it was from the rain. And it was a different issue, that's more broad. This is a very specific.
I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm not
That's
disagreeing with your
giving
point.
you the justification to make an exception.
Yeah, no.
Also, I didn't get any restoration done because all the other units, they cut their walls. And they didn't do that in my house because since I have asbestos, nobody was allowed to go in. So maybe if they would have cut the walls and maybe
Was it
air
vented?
the house or put the machines like everybody else. No, they just left my house there with the water, with the mold growing. I was every week saying, okay, when is the next test done? And you were on transition and busy with other issues, but yeah, on those 3 weeks, I got them all.
Yeah, I just on a personal anecdote, and I can't see a difference. I remember the early morning after the water intrusions, whatever day that was. I remember seeing water coming out of the mansards. It was just dripping down. It was in a couple of those units. Brian's house next to yours was also. And I was speaking with the tenant of yours, and he's like, this is gonna take forever to fix. I'm already finding a new place. I'll be out of here by Wednesday.
Well, we've been talking to him for 4 days after it happened.
Yeah.
And
He was
I
okay.
can show you those texts and emails. We
Yeah.
have those.
Until he was shown that.
Joseph only left the day he decided to leave was the day he was shown that report. And that precluded any other work from being done to mitigate the damage for the mold. And I have all that timeline documented if you want to see it. It'll help your decision.
Can you
Yes.
So we can have that discussion.
Yeah, because we have all that. And Joe still wants to rent the place. He might come back in January. His place is expiring, his lease is up in December, and he wants to move back in.
He actually told me that he was now I'm home because I told him we have to do this enclosure, and now there's another thing now holding me to rent. It's like I'm always on hold.
Can you?
Well, I mean, the closure is not the association's fault. The association is not putting you on hold in terms of the enclosure. It's an illegal enclosure. Well, to make it legal, that's not the association, that's the law.
If we put the
Yes, it
premise
is.
next to the roof.
Right now, the city. It's illegal.
And you're gonna be paying
The
fines.
closure is happening. It's
Right, that's happening.
and that's already been discussed. The idea here is we're asking for 10,000 because of the way it was handled and because of the damage as a result of the way it was handled. And this is an issue that's gonna cost her more expense than just if it didn't happen. And it was more because of how it happened, and that was the problem. And because it shouldn't have happened that way. She should have been allowed to air out her unit and mitigate the mold damage and be like everybody else. That she did. I was here with her all through those meetings and all through the thing, and I witnessed the fact that she was just left rudderless and told not to do anything. And that was not the right advice. She should have been allowed to mitigate the damage. And the only reason the guy told her to do this is because he didn't want to take responsibility for opening it up and doing the work and expensing it himself. And furthermore, they wanted to generate more work so that they could get paid, which was not the right motivations. At the end of the day, she needed to mitigate the damage, and you did not allow her to do that. And the guy you hired gave her bad advice, and it's not. And we're not asking for a lot to mitigate the damage of not taking care of her.
Understood. If you could send through the stuff that you said, we can have a discussion as a board and put all that together. So I appreciate that.
Okay, let's put it also a timeline to decide on that. So, because it's been a while. So I think it's gonna be fair to,
I think we have to discuss it with the lawyer, don't we? So when are we talking about?
We'd have to make that appointment. But I think in the same way, I mean, 2 weeks, end of the month is sufficient time, depending on when we get the stuff from you, then that allows us to review it, allows us to go forward and have a quick meeting and make that decision.
by the way, you mentioned that you have a GC that can do it. Licensed, insured, serious person, can do the job, windows, the whole shebang, trusses, everything according to the plan that you received?
Yeah.
Okay, in order to expedite, can you ask that person to send all this information, license, insurance, everything that we need to approve, and then when the permits, then when we are ready.
Until the permits were submitted, so I don't know why.
I mean, in order to submit the permits, we also need, the city needs to know who's gonna do the work and make sure that the person is licensed and insured, so he knows that, and he should have all that information. It's gonna just expedite things if you provide it, you know, the sooner the better, so when we're ready to submit, we hit the ground running.
But he's the one who does the permit, that's the point, right?
No, the permits are going to be submitted by the architect that we hired. She's in charge of going back and forth with the city and making sure that the permits are done, and if there are any revisions, to revise it with the engineer or ourselves.
Her GC's information needs to be on the permit.
Exactly,
You need your GC.
okay?
I think he communicated with you.
With me?
Yeah,
Who's the guy?
it's Cesar.
Oh, Cesar is the husband of
I don't know,
Juanitos.
perhaps my father.
Yeah, it's Juanitos' husband. Okay, I mean, if it's a GC, I mean, he's planning on doing these enclosures, so if we can do two at the same time, better for everybody, perfect, no problem. As far as either him or their different license, there's a.
Yes. Good.
I have an issue. It's my issue. But
Well,
Is it on the list?
I have,
it's
It's later on the list.
It's still not getting to that one.
We're going in order.
Thank you.
Water intrusion, yes, so you are.
I think you can go this
You
way.
can go this way, no?
Okay, number 9, thank you. Status of unit 21 cell. We'll get to your point in a couple points. Status of unit 21 cell. From what I understand at the latest, they had sold. They were at the notary. Money will be wired tomorrow because there was a 3:30 deadline to wire money, but that is essentially finalized.
It's tomorrow.
I think
Yeah.
officially.
Yeah, but it's already, the agreement is signed and it's done.
Number 10, maintenance updates.
We started to work on the engineering reports addressing the scope of cracks and hairlines along the balconies. Carlos and I went to inspect all balconies, and it appears that 13 units out of 40 balconies require some milestone for repairs, and unit 34, especially will require a stain repair works as a unit. The loose stucco plaster underneath the balcony, exposing all the colored metal slab and of the stucco finish. We finished the repair work around the clubhouse, and we're going to start the residential building, which are required to clean the surface. When I mean pressure cleaning, it's all the fascias that are mold because of the water drainage from the deck. So what we're gonna focus on, get all the mildew out of the surface, because the elastomeric plaster cannot attach if you have fungus, if you have mold. So that's the reason that we are going to apply pressure cleaner on all the fronts and underneath in order to fix the cracks. So first it's gonna be pressure cleaner for building 1 and 2. The majority of the balconies, we're talking about within 13 cases in general, we have at least seven issues between building 1, which have the majorities, and building 2. Most likely the units in building 2s are fully renovated, and we have and also concealed. So say for instance, unit 18, Alan, we have a shorter and enclose the whole balcony, but you have a hairline inside of the underneath the slab. So those are the things that we're gonna take care, and we're gonna do the minimal cleaning on the areas in order to get the things prepared. So these are going to be following into few steps. So
Yeah, I'm just saying they are going so fast. Can we wait 5 days until they finalize the building too, so we don't interfere?
we only have 2 units withdraw, and that's not going to interfere on anything, because Carlos can go and then pressure clean the front, and that will be
I
it.
didn't understand him either, so it sounds like you're only pressure cleaning the units you're gonna apply plaster to.
Exactly. What I'm trying to make it understand and clear is that the pressure cleaner is not like everybody's like thinking it is. It's going to be, like the whole facade. No, it's going to be only the areas where the hairlines and the cracks are, in order to get the fungus out. So this is something that is going to be basically most on the building 1. So that's why we're gonna do all the balconies of that area, since it's not touching, and the 2 balconies, which is one 18 and the other one is where generally they leave 19, no, 18 and 17. I'm sorry. So those are the ones that we're gonna clean, and that shouldn't interfere. So that is a process, because Joao, the thing is that.
Let me just say this. You say that shouldn't interfere, because the sensitive at this point, and we received this email from Andrew about the drone, etc. There's such a sensitivity. What I'm seeing is that if these people suddenly, Carlos does water, then I would try to avoid by 1 week. They probably end up the building.
It's above
Okay.
the balcony deck, so
I know.
that's not going to interfere. This is something that is going to get a ladder and then remove whatever move. It's not going to be something that he did on the unit next to you, on Dennis' units on 33, which he actually took the whole wall out of the wall. These procedures are not gonna be taking place, only the areas that actually have mold.
But to the point of job, if you go on the ladder on the back where the balcony is, start doing the work, they tearing up the roof, they throw it to the side, or a stone hits his head, he falls from the ladder, it's a liability for us. So
This
probably
is
it's not
not
gonna happen.
gonna happen, and I think that the proper procedure, Carlos will follow, because I'm gonna be with him supervising. And this is going to be a lengthy process, because remember that we have to go to all the buildings, and Carlos only comes here once a week. So it's gonna be first pressure, then prep with the elastomeric stucco, and then the paint touch up. So this is going to be a month and a half timing. And I think that I rather to start working and have it all prepped, because I just want, my only concern is to seal all the traffic, hairy line that are visible, in order to expedite the process and then fix whatever is coming on our way.
He'll start off building 1.
Yes, building 1 is the one that I have most of the work. It is important to highlight that these repairs are basically taking care of the visible water penetration that has been observed by the engineer. However, further engineer assessment to evaluate the integrity of the balcony needs to be taken into consideration, since those areas haven't been properly maintained by previous associations, and unit owners are completely unaware of the rules and regulations for material alteration at those areas. I'm talking about that previous unit owners being kind of like floating the decks, and they're creating more problems because there are no water. So this is going to be something that we need to take in consideration for further analysis and further assessment, because in one point of time, we need to start addressing carefully all the balconies decks, because we have water penetration already observed. And if we don't do that, we're gonna start maintaining the stock of falling, because we're not addressing the problem by to the roof, which is, like covering and waterproofing on the top, which is what initially needed to be started. But we need to actually have an engineer to do all the assessment of the structure, the conditions, and then to the measurements to avoid and to start working the right way in order to protect all the slab of the balcony, since this is a common limited area that is owned by the association. So
let me ask you, the procedures for the 41 and the 34, what you're saying is in the medium long term, it's going to be a procedure for everybody.
Exactly what
So what Carlos is going to do is a short-term remedy.
that's exactly what we're doing for Unit 34 and Unit 35, that we are basically repair little hairlines and water penetration in order
It's
to
not
hold
the
the water.
big thing that we're gonna do in the 44.
No.
So meaning that in 1 year, something like that, we'll need to address everything again.
If we don't do the assessment eventually next year and we make a projection of next work, like the seawall, this has to be an important task to do, because if we don't do that, we're gonna keep having the same problem of stock of falling off, because
And said the guy, even in my unit that we all painted, etc., started talk, and some of the things are completely out.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Hollow, some of them. So I could understand that.
Okay, but the
that
main reason is because water is coming from the top, because it's not proper seal. Actually, they're going to offer to actually water seal the top with the material on top to avoid the water coming through, because this is going to basically damage the whole structure of the slab. And it's gonna be even worse, because they need to tear down all the slab and reinforce again back the rebar. Yeah, it's gonna be a more difficult work to do. So I think that this is a note to have it recorded as another thing that we need to do for the community. The stock of company that we used to fix Unit 41 came last Wednesday to evaluate the conditions of balcony on Unit 34, and they sent us an estimate with all the comments for our review and comments. I hope that you guys already, see it and commented. What I see on the invoice is that the removal of the sheds and the removal of the canopy should be up to the unit owner, and I think that was the agreement, and pretty much that repair of that surface will be cost around like $2,200, including the job that Carlos is going to do, which is the primer and the paint touch-up, in order for us to save some money. So Carlos will do it if we actually follow that. So that other part needs to be decided, whether if you're gonna do it yourself or you wanted to pay the company in order for us to help you out with the slab repair. Okay, so this is something to consider.
And fully agree that the shed things, that should be my expense, not the association.
And the canopy.
And the canopy.
So that is already disclosed, discriminated, so you can actually, make your decision, or the board can make the decision based on the other estimate. I haven't seen the other estimates, by the way.
For which one?
For your unit, you're supposed to have 3 estimates, right?
I don't have any estimates.
Oh, okay, I thought it was we have another one. So I think that we need to find two more in order to make us a decision on your case, like we did with Gregory, yes, 41, in order to be fair with the process. Okay. So that was it for maintenance. So
Should I call a couple companies then and get quotes?
yes, at least two, in order for us to get a comparison and at least show the community that would, follow the process and we have to.
Isn't this price very similar for the regulation?
No, it is similar. It is similar. The problem is the same, yeah.
The diligence for the 41, should we just decide for just saying, because if the price is addressing the same type of problem.
I want it to be with the procedures and followed by the book, because I don't want later on somebody question that we are actually doing, like something that is not to the practice. So if you can find, like two more estimates just to make the comparison, because I know that they are reliable. They make already a job. Everybody already is happy with what they see with the result. So it is for us to at least to follow the requirements, to follow the requirements.
Diligence for the 41, we brought to 3 proposals. This proposal was chosen, so that due diligence was happening not 5 years ago, 12 months ago. That is my point. So I'm not trying to go over the procedure. I'm just saying you did those procedures and this contractor was elected.
And also this contractor was done the job and apparently we were happy with the job.
No, it's good. It's good.
I don't know
It's
either.
good. The price is right. It's good. The price is right. And I think that we should consider, but based on the standard procedure of the association, in order for us to do it.
But we did.
Okay, well, if you all, agree, so then it's gonna be on us. Okay, so. Yeah, you have to stay.
I mean, with all the work that everybody here is doing, since we already did the Unit 41 a few months ago, we were happy with the job. We got the proposal, so let's just move on and just do it.
It was not 1 year or 2 years ago. It was a couple of months ago. That's why I asked, is this the same type of job? If it is.
Basically, it is, yes.
I mean, I'm okay with putting to a vote and just do it. Legally, we're not doing anything wrong.
We are 2 against 2, we're gonna block it here, so you can.
Abstain, no, I have no opinion. I genuinely don't care.
I mean,
What
I
is
just
your-
genuinely do
let's-
not have
let's
an
do like this, or it's consensual, or we don't go.
It is consensual, yeah, it
The one
has
thing
to
that you
be,
can do
yeah.
is find 2 other people, give them a phone call and say, hey, you bid on this 3 months ago. Is your estimate gonna be the same for these 2? Like, if you wanna get that. Follow.
I don't know.
I think it's unnecessary and we are going according to the law.
The money is in.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to save some work and go with you or all work.
I don't know the letter of law.
How much money we're talking about?
I think it was, for
2002,
or
200.
it was 29 because, I actually make him come down to 2,900. So for him, it's gonna be 22. 22. No, that was the original, but at the end, we end up paying 29 because I make them go low because the original stucco company didn't show up. So I actually met with Sandra and I make a deal and she actually was able to lower the quote for 2,900.
So then this is much more expensive. This one is talking about 3,000.
Yes. And we pay $200 more or less for the other repairs that Carlos did. So basically it was about to 31. Yeah, because we paid.
If we can negotiate this price to something more similar with this another wire guy ink. I don't know, but if you want to ask for more budgets, I would say negotiate these to get very similar from Gregory's. And then if he did a good job, why invent?
Yeah, I agree. We don't
We
need,
have a discount on this guy.
especially for that
No,
amount. It's not that we're talking $15,000.
I think the price is okay. I just want to, I'm concerned about following the procedure since, okay.
Okay, so let's just,
Okay. It was in June, May, June, yeah.
yeah, guys, let's, okay, so
Can we decide it?
yeah, let's decide it. Let's decide.
Later on mail or we make a motion and we do it?
So we can make a motion. Let's get things that can be decided now, and so we don't have more
I
on.
would give the authorization for the board to decide until 3,000. You said 3,011 or 3,000?
Three, yeah, 3,100, yeah.
$3,300 plus. Then if you can negotiate this to 3,33, so
No, the amount is going to be about 22 because they actually charging 21 and it's going to be like a $200 for the repair of Carlos.
you need 34. Proposal we said is 3,150.
Yeah, because
Let me ask this, is
the,
the 3,800?
do you see that do you see the items on the bottom? The items on the bottom is not included, and this is something that the owner needs to take care of, which is the shed and the bracket. These are not part of the slab. This is our attachment, and those attachments are disclosed, itemized on the bottom in red because I say, let me get an estimate because this not supposed to be paid by the association. So the work.
We get to 3,800.
Exactly. So that it's what I'm saying with him going through the math. Only the repair of the slab, which is our concern, association concern, is 2,100. Almost, yes, and $200 for Carlos' work. So it's going to be about 22 to almost 23. Okay. Favor?
It seems really.
With no second, third invoice estimate to compare.
You already
Okay.
got the three.
This work is now 1,000 less than the first one. Why shouldn't it?
No problem. As long as everybody is agreed and understood. Okay. I follow. In favor.
Great, what's the next thing? Oh, you have more maintenance updates.
Yeah. As far as the water report is concerned, unit 6 still high consumption, about 300 gallons per day. 80 gallon is the average. It is probably because the issue at unit 6 that was fixed after submitted the report to the unit owner, but we will keep an eye next month to make sure that it's not exceeded again. Unit 13, the usage was about 1,000 gallons and it was really, really high. When I saw the report last week, I actually talked with Carlos and we approached to the unit owner, to the tenant, and we went to the patio and I find out that the line of the drinking water from the kitchen was coming out from the wall and it was under the deck. And this was the water that was used for cleaning patio and cleaning the dogs. So I was inspecting the area and there is the irrigation system that is running along the deck and the spike seems to be cut and completely condensed. So we need to reinstate that water because this is the cheaper water that we supposed to use for the patios and gardens and dogs. So that line of water was installed there and I disconnected with Carlos and hopefully that was the water that Diana and Marcelo were claiming that they were hearing the noise because the hose, yeah, the line was on the last spike in front of the dock and that hose, the valve was broken and the water was running out continuously. So we fixed that problem. I hope next reading will be less than 1,000 because we already detect that the water closets were not functioning well, especially the one in the patio room. And Amy from Kabbalah told me that they already fixed the problem from unit 13 and unit 6. So we shouldn't have any problem on unit 13 whatsoever, but I will keep an eye on unit 6. Unit 28 is really weird because we actually did a work changing the submeter because before we didn't know exactly, what was the water counting. And it happens that he's showing 300 gallons per day. And this is, very high from a person, it's only, like one single unit owner, and it's completely, and it's in constant, traveling. So I think that we need to take a look at it. I think that might happen the same situation as unit 13. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but I will take a look to the top because I think the water fixtures in his house are in perfect condition. So I will again revise, inspect, and determine whether it's anything that it's out of the unit. So that it's for the water report issues and what else?
The agenda is also what the usual report for September is submit the replacements, but this is already done.
Yeah, no, 23 and 28, but 28 is showing high consume now that I can see numbers. So I'm gonna take another look next reading and see if this still keeping 300, something is happening because might be something.
You need to report what we discussed.
Yeah, point number 13.
So it's already discussed.
You done with the report?
There's point number 13 and 27.
I want to make sure he did his maintenance.
Okay, I have.
You have one more thing? Or-
Yeah, so for the case of Laura.
No, we're going.
Sure, the last one. Unit 13, unit owner, approached to me as well as unit 27, Laura, and asked me when are we gonna have the water issues resolved in the interior of the home. And I, kindly, said that they needed to have understanding that we are working through the association in order to expedite, like the repairs, but it's taking a long process, and they are welcome to come and to see how we are approaching to this resolving issues. So as far as unit 27, she already had reports that have some water damages on the ceiling on level 1 and the living area. And there's some, and only the toilets and nearby the air condition, and on the second room, on the second bedroom, on the second.
You talked about this, not outside.
Yeah, I'm talking, no, everything inside, all interiors. And
I don't know if I went upstairs because the water came through the vent, right? And the one pool. I don't know. It looks like it could be. I don't know. I'd like to have a test maybe. Just I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks dark.
That's when
It
that's
doesn't
one,
look normal.
that's in the second room, no? Next
Yeah,
to the
but
bathroom?
the second, I have no other issues, but I have another issue outside.
Talk about the water.
Outside. My house is on the end. When all the water comes down to me on the direct from the roof, I cannot use my terrace. I have all the furniture inside. I clean them now inside. Because the grounding, everything is dirty. When it rains, everything comes to my house.
There's no drain in
Well,
your area?
No, it comes from the roof because I am on the low point. My house is like a swimming pool.
No, I understand what I'm trying to
Do you
understand.
ever been there?
There's no connection. A lot of them, so my dad connected.
I have a
downside
swimming
and
pool.
So
When
the
all
down-
the thread comes to me in the front and the back. I am 83 years old. I tried to clean it. I fell down. There are 2 fingers I hurt and on my back. I had an X-ray on my front and back.
Okay, I'm trying to understand so we can try to address this issue.
okay, it
So-
seems like the
I
issue,
can't take
the
it.
issue for Laura,
I
let me,
can't go
let me talk. From the outside, there is 2 cases, unit 14 and unit 14, Marcelo, actually show me a picture of the downspout that is disconnected on certain section of the the balcony. So the water is spilling out and I don't know if it's on the balcony,
Mine was
it's in
the
his
same,
balcony.
but that's-
So-
I
Okay,
thought it-
so it showed that it's disconnected, so this is something that it needs to be coordinated with the roof. The roofers, they can actually help out. On the case of Laura, I think that the same situation is spilled out, that the connection, the recollection of the water on the gutters are completely disconnected, and for some reason, the water is coming down to their area.
Yeah, so I guess,
At least a temporary solution to actually to.
and all the water comes from the rooftop, on the low point.
The problem
There's
is
a
that,
pool at top here,
the problem here covers both floors.
but this is.
But the problem is
not
that it needs to be flexible because it's not aligned. That's what I
It
was
is
explaining to the
flexible.
roofer last time I was here. The opening here and where the downspout connects is not aligned. So my dad had to put something flexible to connect it. Otherwise it falls on your balcony because of that mess, or it falls on the terrace.
It's gonna be.
But you should see my tires. I
Oh,
cannot go
They made
outside
the hole
on
in
my
the wrong
tires.
spot of the
I have to stay in the house, put my furniture inside, my furniture inside.
Can we call somebody to do assessment like we did?
But I don't buy it. That's not have a pool anymore.
Whatever.
But I don't know if MV5 do, she wants to,
Then, so in the front spots, it's,
Laura, we understand, Laura, we
I
get it.
I can't. Get down in my house and inside, get down in my house, and I said, here, put here,
Okay, so tomorrow
and
we'll
I get
speak,
an X-ray. I fell on my head,
yeah,
I'll get an X-ray tomorrow.
The action for Unit 13, because they need to hear something from us regarding of the repair issues from the water intrusion. So, Raquel, the unit owner, the unit tenant from Unit 13 called me that day, yelling at me, screaming, and she was really stressed out. And she told me to go, and she told me to actually look at everything that is happening, and I documented. And that it's something that Amy reinforced after I spoke with her, and I think that at least we need to have something to say about it. The damages that they haven't inside of all the kitchen, it's broken. The ceiling is you have a big hole. So when she was cooking, the whole water came down on her plate and on her food, and she was crying. So, and
but
the water coming from the chandelier. So water coming from, like between the sliding doors. So we need to understand, how we're gonna talk and how we're gonna approach to these two unit owners, because, okay, Laura is here. Amy, I think that she's in holiday. She cannot actually attend on all this meeting, but yeah, well, she talked to me, but she told me,
What is a Jewish holiday?
yeah, it's
Put my fingers, it'll go down.
So
Then I tell you
we
something about this woman.
Okay, but we don't want to hear it right now.
You have to know it.
Laura, we are in the middle of a meeting. Please, no, but don't tell me now, no. Laura,
let Robert say, do you have something to say regarding of this?
The 13
Yes.
are two things. Are they requesting something? And two, are you
Yeah,
proposing that we do
they
something?
basically wants to know exactly when we're gonna start the repair for the dry holes and how can
For the prior.
how can mitigate the situation for Raquel to have a livable space. So, because right now, the condition. Yeah, you have a huge
so-
hole on the
so-
kitchen.
Unit 13 has damage like many other units, and Marcelo, like she had, actually even less, but she has damage. They did not open many of the walls because she doesn't want to live in, indefinitely with open walls. So they just open small holes and put some plastics, and that's the situation for now. I explained to her that we're gonna pay and repair, or we're gonna repair the walls when we repair everybody's wall. And that was also explained to the unit owner. I talked to her and explained to her, listen, we're going to do it, everybody together, because we need to make sure, and she understood, that we are saving the money for the association, because if we're gonna send a handyman to just fix her unit, and then another day in a month to fix another unit, it's gonna cost us much more than having one fix everybody at the same time. Also, until the roofs, that's what was decided here, until the roofs are not secured, we're not gonna do fixing, and then there's more water intrusion, and then we have to fix again. So all that was explained, and her case is no different than any other case, like Diana or Marcelo or anybody else.
Recommendation would be to send his unit an email, because the owner and tenant are different people, exactly this by writing. Okay, these are the procedures we're gonna take, whenever we get there, we're gonna.
I think communication is very important because it seems like it's a lack of communication and they're still in the limbo.
I think we should send this to everybody,
Specifically for this owner, but yes, we can
Yes.
take the chance to send to this owner.
because she's not the first one. I mean, she's been begging for also.
Yeah, but
For-
on the 27th, I have two. One is to, on the roof, but to go there and understand what is happening with the spot.
Yeah,
And the second one, if we can do a mold assessment, which I don't know if there's a specific person that does a mold assessment.
I feel like they just have to cut out a piece, don't they? They cut out a piece of sheet rock and see if it molds. Maybe they do a swab test, but like that's the extent of mold.
I don't know. She claims that her mold remediation thing was $10,000. So.
Yeah, because they spray it down with something sometimes, but.
Just for the professionals and being impacted by mistakes on previous decisions, we are all being impacted. So some was because we hired a stupid company to do asbestos testing, others is because we hired a contractor that was not a roofer, other people needed to come to the board to fix all of these, so all are impacted by this, so that rationale doesn't distinguish in this way. So.
Okay, so we decided on sending a communication to unit 13, but I would say let's send it to everybody. It's the same, it's the same communication.
Maybe someone, if you're okay with taking the lead, you can draft it and do the same thing where you share it with everybody for final approval. Where we send out, maybe Robert send out.
The good part of this communication that people already see it working, so at the end of the day, it's not a never ending story, so we are really expecting at least until the two, I would say, for the speed they are doing, probably in less than 1 month, can do those work. Or are we gonna wait for everything? Probably gonna wait up to 3.
I don't know. I mean, we could.
Once
we
the
could
roofer,
negotiate one rate.
once the roofer gives us the okay, says, listen, guys, nothing is gonna go through this. Once the roofer gives us the okay, we should get going.
My analytical brain has had a lot of time and situations to deal with this, has also found that there's been water intrusion on the roof, but there's also areas in the mansards themselves that have little holes between the blocks. And sometimes water combined with wind will get through there.
Yeah.
So by exposing the mansard, we expose holes. So I've had water intrusion through there as well. So there is some argument,
Cells or.
the hollow cells, and so they
Yeah.
go through and even fill like the, between the floors, and that's how I had some of my water intrusion on the first floor.
Yeah, and that's how you get the water going into all the lighting.
Through the lighting fixtures and the fire and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Okay.
so there is an argument to be made for you wait for the mansards too.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that.
Yeah, I agree on that point. Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna say something. This lady, she has a deck with only 2 poles. That's it. It's 3. Her husband fixed it, and somebody can, the deck, you know, it has 2 poles. That's not allowed either. But then I cleaned for the French people, right, the house, and she had termites. Then the French people had termites, and they called somebody, and then termites again, this sort of place in the addition, right? And then I cleaned that house for the French people always.
How many years ago was it?
It's just happened. When the French people saw it, she bought it from the French.
What, how many years ago?
10
Huh?
Ten
When
years.
you moved out, right?
or 12 years.
How long, when you moved out?
Or.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
When she had only two poles, that's not allowed.
Right.
Okay, because she wants money. Then I cleaned the French people's apartment,
Okay.
and they had termites, because Dan to free put garbage without, then a carpet. You know what I mean? But I cleaned On Mark Antonio gave $1,000 for nothing. She said she didn't put the plans in. Yes, she did, because I paid the bill.
Laura,
I,
Laura, thank
she
you.
is very, she's a son of a bitch, this woman. I'm sorry to say this.
Okay,
She's
Laura,
a con artist.
thank you for the
And
comment.
she's not allowed to have.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for the comments.
He wants money from you.
Right.
And you have to put it on the order.
And there's,
You know that.
right, and there's issues in the past, and we have to be objective and just look at what the bylaws say, what the law says, and make a decision based on that.
And move forward.
Yes.
Right, so one last point in our meeting, unit 39.
Yes, we have reported an incident of after hours construction noise from unit 39. It happens last Sunday night and after hours permitted by city regulation. I suggest we send a letter to the unit owner to remind her to follow the city regulation, because apparently she met with one of the unit owners here on the association, on the community, and that was Saturday. And Sunday, we heard a noise about 8:30 at night.
Yeah, I heard
the
it.
noise, and my neighbors were there, Maritza and her husband, and we came out to the same time outside because we know that our neighbor doesn't live in the
Yeah.
property, and it was very, very weird that somebody was using the drill and other equipments inside of the house. So we knocked down, and we knocked very, very many times, me and Maritza, and nobody opened the door. They shut down the lights, and it seems like if something happened there after hours in a very clandestine way. So we don't know exactly what's going on, but there's some repair happening, and we need to understand what happened.
North Miami Beach sound ordinance is 8 AM to
To 5.
6, I think.
Can we call somebody whenever we hear that? Call the city or?
We can call the police, but I mean, we're trying to actually be more cautious because this is hours that people are, like relaxing, and it's disturbing. So we went to the door to actually ask for the attention, but since there is no possible contact and communication with that person who was doing that, and there's no responsible who's actually attending, this is the most, from my understanding, more risky, that you are putting somebody who's doing some jobs without no supervision. So God forbid something happened inside, short circuit, got electrocuted. So yeah, so how are we gonna take it from there? So I think that this is very critical. Also, I think that the unit owners from Unit 38, they pass the information to Unit 39 because they have their email or their message system, and they basically make her aware of the situation. So nothing was replied on her end, and I think that this issue and issues from maintenance that they actually been reporting recently regarding of the patio, something that this owner needs to take care of. And
So you recommend just sending a letter
to send a
reminding of
reminder
the
letter, yes.
normal hours?
Yes.
I think that's good. And I'm not gonna take more time, but just a quick question. If we're using a normal drill, like a screwdriver, after 8:30, that's fine, right?
No, that's not.
Or is it,
That's not because you are drilling onto an adjacent.
I'm not asking in that situation, just
Okay.
general.
That's not permitted.
Okay.
I mean, if you do one hole, nobody's gonna say anything, but if you start doing a major
For
work.
example, people walk along the door to put the nail in for a
For
board.
two unit owners that live adjoined to this unit, I think that was something that we didn't even call each other because I was actually going outside to see exactly where the noise was
I
coming from.
heard it too.
And I was, tempted not to, make it happen, but it was consistent. It was consistent. So, When I was in this unit
Remember when
and
I exited?
that person was living there, I wasn't even allowed to raise the volume of the TV and they calling the police.
And I went to
So I
Maria.
think that the ordinance needs to be followed.
You what?
and Common courtesy needs to be followed
Yeah.
as well. So I think that,
I think the letter's good.
yeah, so I have two comments to actually ask to the group. And this is regarding of the disposal that I saw today and the information that you guys sharing on the phone. So I wanted to understand, are we paying $5,800 for disposal?
Yes.
Okay, so do we have any selection or bid on estimates in order for us to make the proper selection and to understand, like where is the range that we need to move into?
So.
Because it seems like based on draw, the amount it's exceeded, and I believe that it's very exceeded. Exceeded the amount, it's 5,000, it's almost $6,000. And for, no, I think that I misread it, but you were saying that you have some approvals or you have some certain amount on the bank that it's, limited. And I was referring to this amount because it was under. No, okay.
No,
All right, take it back.
what was limited is the $5,000
Okay.
credit card.
So for this kind of job and for this amount, I think that we should have at least few estimates to understand why we are actually, taking this decision, because it's moving, it's going out, we're assuming that we're paying, but did we follow the proper procedure?
There was a different quote before at 6,000.
From Natalie's husband, he said, look, I don't know how many trucks it's gonna take, 100 food trucks, at least 2, maybe 3. Each truck is $2,000, but I cannot tell you exactly if it's gonna be.
Have a proper invoice from a company, and that's exactly what I really would like to, understand from the whole decision of getting this, things moving forward. So I think that.
Let me make you a
Yeah, we need to have the-
know the urgency of the topic we are talking about.
Well,
I'm just
we
asking.
actually put a deadline in August, as per Robert's in meeting minutes, that we supposed to have this trash move out
Yeah,
by August. And then
Let
on
me make another
August,
question.
we
Do
actually.
you know how many hours some of the people are working right now since the beginning of the
Well, you
year?
don't need to tell me because I've been working here
Perfect.
many
That's
hours
one-
without putting
yes.
on the table.
That's
the
what,
draft.
that's what I'm.
Okay.
What I'm saying.
But
But
this.
that is important for me because what we are saying here is that the people you're seeing around this table, majority.
Remember, this is a voluntary job and we're all.
It's not what I'm
agreed
saying.
and
It's not what I'm saying. When you point out that facing an urgency, this board is taking a decision with the previous budget that was presented, even orally to Alan, that due to the urgency of the topic, we are moving. What is exactly the point you're mentioning
The
here?
point that I'm mentioning
Yes.
is that we are agreed on this amount, which is, for me, it's higher. It's very higher and it's not considered other elements or other estimate in order for us to be covered. So the point of the trash disposal is being brought up since June. And we have plenty time to organize all these as we actually did on eBay and all the proposals that we actually estimate. So it's not that I want to be against, I just want to be following the proper procedure for us to be clear, neat, and transparent as we and this board decided to be. So this is the only comment because I didn't see any estimate. I didn't even make a comment about how is the procedures and how is going to be the agreement. But this, for me, is a raise point for me to ask, and it's a legitimate, point because there's no sense of urgency. It was about planning, and that's what
You're
I
saying
said.
there's no sense of urgency.
Of urgency because it seems to me since June, we couldn't have already taken the measurements in order to get rid of this material, as I
Yes, we
did.
did not
No,
take
but
the sense of urgency since June.
I did it myself when we actually disposed of all the chemicals, and that was done back in June. So from this point on, we have an amount of time setting the material, resting here for all the reasons that we actually know that we wanted to, like get some money out of it. But my point right now is that
That's
we
my
can,
question is that since June, do you realize the amount, and I've not been even involved in this process, but I just want to make this question. Do you imagine the number of hours? And I know it's voluntary.
Work by
Because
people.
sometimes when I hear this thing, it's like, oh, we were not without doing anything, and suddenly somebody woke up and said, let's remove it. So do you know the amount of work that is being
completely
invested?
understood, and I understood, and I actually, this is actually being recorded every meeting and every agenda since June, and that's exactly what, the point of comments that I need to actually raise, because for me, this amount and this decision, it fly over even my decision, because in my end, as a member of this board, I didn't have even the opportunity to smell the invoice, and it went out and it went approved. So that's why I just need to give you this advice, because that for me is excessive, and it doesn't justify all the means that you are claiming, because it's too late. Like you say, the trend left the station.
Your point is noted.
Okay,
And,
great.
The
other thing is that my question, how much we spend on the preparedness for the storm surge?
Say that again?
How much money did we spend on all the sandbag and all the preparation for the storm surge?
it was $6 a bag times 40 bucks. So
240?
240.
So we got 40,
Plus the road.
40 bags.
40 bags. There's
Plus
more
the
than
roads
40.
that we
There's-
spent.
And those 40 bags were.
No, let me say this, plus the ropes that we spent 3 hours at the rain to tie all the ropes here. And by the way, in the bags, plus all the work that we did carrying the bags and putting in front of electric boards, and put it in your minutes, please. 3 hours of work that nobody mentioned.
In the rain.
In the rain.
In the rain.
Cut myself on this finger, I still have the scar, and putting all to protect the cars to be affected by these 3 hours of work. 3 people working 3 hours. Nobody else came.
In the rain.
So we were invited.
It's a voluntary job.
I'm just saying, no, you're making a question, and I'm telling you to put in your minutes that for the preparation for the storm, there was this work besides putting the bags, and a lot of the bags you saw were people that went to the North Miami Beach to collect 4 bags. So the only ones we paid was,
Those for free or?
those are completely free,
Uh-huh.
and it was the unit owner that picked it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
And we
40.
missed you.
So Mandy was selling some bags?
Yes.
Because I think that Laura
I
paid
paid
for
$30.
For what?
But that.
You had 5
the
bags?
ones that Mandy
You
brought.
got 5 bags?
No, 4.
From where? From who?
And the same
From Ursula.
thing I went in, but
Mandy. Mandy.
maybe, but I said,
Okay.
he sold it.
Yeah, okay, so as an
I
association,
paid $30.
great. So I also, by the way,
A lot of people pay individually.
I paid individually to him as well.
No, I see
And-
the communication. I just wanted to make sure.
And,
that,
and so right now, when Carlos collected the bags, he also collected the bags that I paid for personally, plus the bags that were free from North Miami Beach as well. So now we have more bags than before. And
Are we gonna keep it or are we gonna dispose or what?
It's
Because
whatever
it's
decision the
already,
board-
it's already.
Until the end of the season.
I would keep it until
say
the end of the season.
You paid money.
At least.
How much? You had to say.
No, we went to North Miami Beach because North Miami Beach said they were giving up bags, and they gave 4 bags and said, what do we do with 4 bags? And I guess they put a news to
Wow.
say they are
No, because it
supporting
was
the
only
owners.
something. And, I say, well, I paid $30 and I heard that the bags are free. I didn't collect any bags because I wasn't interested in putting bags.
So there-
So I just told him, I don't know the process. I need to understand, what happened and.
So North Miami Beach was giving 4 bags for free. You have to go there, you show your driving license. Yes, so the free is driving until there, putting the bags in the car.
If you
getting-
drive through there twice, you get 8 bags.
I don't know. because they asked for-
I do.
How you did it?
All right, very good. It is 8:28. I call this meeting to a close and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time here. Oh, I need to stop recording.